On this episode of Law Weekly, we talk to two of the presidential candidates of the Nigerian Bar Association, Joe-Kyari Gadzama, SAN, and Jonathan Gunu Taidi. Last week, we had featured our interview with YC Mekiao, SAN, and if you missed it, you can find it on Channels TV's YouTube page. Hello and welcome to this episode of the program. I'm Shola Shoyeli. The NBA elections are scheduled to hold on Saturday, July 16, 2022, with about 60,000 eligible voters expected to vote. Now let's turn to our interview. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Joe-Kyari Gadzama, graduated from the Faculty of Law of the University of Maiduguri in 1985. After attending the law school, he was called to the bar in 1986. At different times, he attended Keble College, Oxford, UK, and the London School of Economics and Political Science. He was subsequently called to the Bar of England and Wales, Lincoln's Inn, UK in 2008. He was conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 1998, and he is the principal partner of J.K. Gadzama, LLP. J.K. Gadzama, as is fondly called by his friends and supporters, is a chartered arbitrator, member of several professional bodies, and recipient of several awards and honors. He's a life member of the body of benchers who has held several positions within the bar. He's the current chairman, NBA Security Agencies Relations Committee. I caught up with him at his Lagos office and began the conversation by getting his views on how he intends to unite the bar if he is elected president. The NBA has a dual role of being a professional body and a pressure group promoting justice, human rights, rule of law, judicial independence. Depending on who you ask, it's doubtful how well the bar has lived up to expectations in playing this dual role. From my interactions with lawyers across the country, it appears that there are divisions in the bar. In fact, many agree that there are divisions in the bar because it's not unusual to find the NBA, the body of benchers, the body of Senior Advocates of Nigeria, all speaking or purportedly speaking on behalf of the bar on the same issue, but in different directions. So if you do become president of the bar, how do you intend to unite the bar and make sure that the bar speaks with one voice?
Well, as a background to your question, the issues at stake, these divisions are normal and they are there for the effective and efficient working arrangement of the profession. On the one hand, you have the bench. On the other hand, you have the bar. And of course, the bar is the producer of the bench because you have to be a member of the bar before you become a member of the bench. Now, at the body of benchers level, you still have those two bodies. That's the bar and the bench represented almost in equal proportions. These are the divisions that help us to come with ideas and synergize and succeed as a profession. But once in a while, in every human endeavor, in intercourse, you have one or two conflicts. But what matters is how you resolve these conflicts. Now, there is this raging issue between the bar and the bench within the parameters of the body of benchers. Whether or not the body of benchers or the bar should be allowed to manage the NBA in terms of crisis. The bar has been the manager even in the past in terms of any crisis. But of recent, some members of the body of benchers believe that that power or this privilege, right, or goodwill should be taken away from the bar as a body and be given to the body of benchers, which includes members of the bar as well. But we as lawyers, we as members of the bar have kicked against that. And we have taken a formal resolution at our NEC meeting, in fact, at different NEC meetings, and through our president, Mr. Olumide Apata, the bar has told the body that that is not acceptable. The main reason being that the body of benchers is an organ of the federal government of Nigeria. And we as lawyers one of our principal and statutory functions is to protect, preserve, and defend the integrity and independence of the bar as well as the bench. So a situation where a body which is government sponsored or government owned or government supervised takes charge of our activities is uncalled for, and that means that the conscience, the soul, right, of the bar association has been mortgaged or transferred to government coffers. So that is the situation, and to the extent that we have not been able to, as a body of benchers, come out in record time with a harmonized legal profession bill, which should have gone to the Senate or the National Assembly a long time ago. But I know that there's a committee on that is working on that, and probably any moment from now, a harmonized bill will come out. And if it does not come out, then probably the two sides of the same coin will have to go and slug it out on the floor of the Senate or on the floor of a committee of the Senate. One is consultation in the first place with all the stakeholders, and you need to carry everyone along. There must be transparency, accountability, and also one has to have courage to press and push forward what we as a bar, as a body, believe in.
The issue of disregard for the ethics of the legal profession is another sore issue among lawyers and non-lawyers. How long does a review of the LPDC rules? Because we hear that the LPDC is comatose as we speak. How will your administration speed up the process? And what are your specific plans to enforce discipline and ethics in the profession?
I have said it time with that number that the bar is a microcosm of Nigeria as a country or as an entity. It is Nigerians that are manning the legal profession. And we, as Nigerians, are members of the bar. So more often than not, a few commit some acts of professional misconduct. And the good thing about the legal profession or the bar is that we are a self-regulatory body. In other words, we don't even need the police. We don't need any organ of government to assist us in punishing ourselves. Yes, if any conduct that is alleged to have been committed by anyone borders on criminality, right, and crimes, such a person, of course, can go and face the music as far as prosecution by the police is concerned. But definitely as a profession, we have the powers, we have the mandates, we have the capacity, we have the experience, and we have all it takes to look into our conduct, whether by way of omission or commission, and we deal with ourselves. The only thing is that the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee has not been in place for some time because of certain issues, but we're trying to get over that. We already have a chairman, and we're waiting for additional members so that they can have quorum and begin to sit, because we have backlog of cases against lawyers, probably not just in their hundreds, maybe in their thousands, because on a daily basis, the NBA Secretariat is overwhelmed with avalanche of complaints against lawyers from different parts of the country. And we cannot condone that. We must fight it. We must nip it in the bud. We must reduce the instances of committing professional misconduct against clients and the public, because that erodes the confidence of the public in the judicial system and also in us as lawyers.
The issue of unemployment, lack of opportunities, poor pay, inadequate training that is facing the army of young lawyers in the country. What have you done in the past to tackle these issues, and what more needs to be done?
Well, this needs a lot of conversation. I have done that at my private level, helping a lot of young lawyers. For example, only last month, I was able to accept 10 young lawyers who have no placements or workplaces from the Nigerian Bar Association Abuja branch. And they are with us for the next 6 months. Probably before the end of the internship, they will be able to find somewhere to work. This kind of gesture in favor of the young lawyers, I think should be extended by other law firms across the country. We really have to come together as a profession to see what we can do. But one other major piece of advice to young lawyers is that they should not all be looking to litigation as the only source of livelihood or revenue or employment for themselves. They should, well, especially in this modern day, they should be able to specialize in some other new areas of law. For example, fintech, data protection, entertainment law practice, intellectual property practice, etc., etc. There are so many of them. So a young lawyer should be able to be advise himself or herself on career path and growth and be able to specialize in 2-3 areas. And then the opportunities are there. The opportunities are there and they can make it.
It is generally agreed that female lawyers are underrepresented in the legal profession, especially in litigation. They are also victims of sexual harassment. In fact, it's not uncommon to find that many of them are looking outside of the legal profession towards other career paths. What are your plans to ensure diversity in the legal profession and protect the female lawyers from sexual harassment?
Well, I agree with you that generally female lawyers are underrepresented in practice, particularly when it comes to litigation. But there are a few exceptions to that. Our office is a case in point. 65% of lawyers in the population in my office are female lawyers. And so you can see they are in a dominant position in my office. And that is the case in many other offices, particularly where you find commercial law practice in the highest. Now, having said this, we must find a way to nip the issue of sexual harassment of female lawyers and ensure gender balance and fight gender chauvinism in all its ramifications. I know very well that the International Bar Association has come up with a policy sometime in 2018 as a result of a finding of fact. On the average, according to the report, that among every 3 female lawyers, right, one of them is sexually harassed. Then among 15 male lawyers, one of them is sexually harassed. Now, based on this, many other jurisdictions, you see their bar associations adopting similar policy or the same policy and implementing. And that is the case with the Nigerian Bar Association. So every lawyer in Nigeria is called upon to fight this discrimination against women who are in various workplaces, and even women who are not lawyers, who are working in law firms. And we have encouraged, and we are encouraging our staff, especially the women folk, to report such cases to the authorities, particularly to the MBA, maybe the branch chairman or to the president of the MBA, so that those found wanting and guilty of such kind of acts will be prosecuted at the LPDC, as well as probably criminally in the courts.
Finally, what's that thing that you would say stands you out from among all the other contestants? And why should your colleagues trust you with their votes?
But I believe that what goes for me is principally, in the first place, the fact that one has a richer pedigree at the bar. I've worked with every past president closely, for that matter, till date. I've worked with Mr. Olumide Apata in the last 2 years, to the extent that he appointed me as the pioneer chairman of the MBA Security Agencies Relations Committee, which is a vital organ of the MBA. Probably because I have served in the past as the pioneer chairman as well of the Nigerian Bar Association section of Public Interest and Development Law. Now, of course, I've served in various capacities, too numerous to mention. But in addition to this factor, I know the issues that bedevil or overwhelm the bar. And if you look at my program of action, what I intend to do for the NBA, I have done many of them at my private level in my office, especially for the young lawyers.
Welcome back. I also sat down with another presidential candidate, Jonathan Gunu Taidi. He graduated from the Faculty of Law of the University of Jos Plateau State in 1999. After attending the law school, he was called to the bar in 2001. His flair for humanitarian services saw him gravitate towards pro bono cases, mostly for awaiting trial inmates. He subsequently ventured into full-time legal practice. J.G. Taidi, as his admirers know him, has held many positions within the bar. He served as the General Secretary of the MENA branch, after which he later became the branch chairman. He also served as the General Secretary of the bar from 2018 to 2020. He was appointed a notary public in 2014. He was also appointed a member of the Body of Benchers in November 2020. Here's our chart.
To start with, is a misconception that other bodies can speak while the NBA is speaking on the matters that are before the bar. I say this because under the NBA Constitution, there's no rule for Body of Benchers. There's no rule for Body of Senior Advocates. So I do not understand from where their intervention is arising. That is on the one hand. But on a serious note, the legal profession is the conscience of society. We must get it right. For so many years, there was no intervention on behalf of the public because we were busy on other things that were not relevant to promoting the rule of law. Thank God, Olumide Akwata came in 2020. He has been able to turn on the volume. By the grace of God, when I become president, I'm going to loud that volume. That is what I'm bringing on the table to start with. To say enough of issuing statements, we must follow those statements with action. And I will lead from the battlefield, from the front.
What are your specific plans to ensure discipline and protect the integrity of the bar? Because especially where senior lawyers are concerned, it seems like the NBA is slow when it comes to discipline.
From my experience as General Secretary, it does appear that we're here to get it right. The processes of instilling discipline I agree with you, very slow. And somehow from 2020, it's even been slower. This is because the CJN, my lord, the CJN came up with a new rule which has now taken the entire responsibility and excluded the NBA.
The former CJN.
The immediate past CJN, yes. And now the Body of Benchers is unable to deal with the issue. Now at the bar, we had the opportunity of sifting, playing the role of investigating those petitions, and those have been taken away. Now the general impression out there is that we're shielding our colleagues who are subject of discipline. I think we can do a lot more better. One, we'll go back to the rules, let the CJN issue the guidelines, the practice direction to fast track issues of disciplinary issues. The other aspect of it is there are so many pending appeals that have to do with discipline of lawyers. Appeals lie from the Body of Benchers to the Supreme Court. And you cannot have the same queue. They join the same queue. So how do we restore public confidence in this process? It means that we have to go back and find a way of fast-tracking those proceedings so that we can restore our integrity in the public space, as well as do better in terms of service delivery.
Female lawyers are underrepresented in the legal profession, especially in litigation. Many female lawyers are also looking outside of the profession to other career paths. Then add on to that the issue of sexual harassment in the profession. Women have complained about being victims of sexual harassment. I know that the NBA has come up with a policy document, but how are you going to address these issues if you do become president of the bar?
When I do become president, we're going to on the one hand, we're going to deliberately instill confidence in our colleagues that are in skirts, so that they can compete favorably with their male counterparts. On the other hand, we must bring this impunity to an end. There must be very deliberate steps to show a good example to those that have no business anywhere, no matter who they are. Once they run foul of those, in fact, create infractions on some of those, like harass our colleagues sexually, make example of them, and I can assure you that others will sit up, who have similar tendencies will sit up.
What are your plans to help young lawyers if you are elected to lead the bar?
When I become president by the grace of God, one of the areas to start with is to deliberately expand the practice space. Today it is choked. On the average, there are between 8,000 to 10,000 new entrants annually into the profession. And we cannot accommodate this number with the existing structure, within the existing structure. So deliberately we must go out. And one of the areas we want to engage is, take for instance, we have 774 local governments. The bar must be willing to contribute to the growth of democracy at that level. So we go to the National Assembly and pursue an amendment to the Constitution to provide for a functional legal department in each of those local government councils across the country. That means that you're going to create job opportunities there with a minimum pay package for all those that are at that sphere. We also go back to the Companies and Allied Matters Act. There are companies that are doing a lot of business and in turn not engaging any legal practitioners. So we can have a minimum to say every company with say minimum turnover of 20 million naira per annum must engage the services of one legal practitioner. We must also go back to the law too, but the bar can push these reforms through to deliberately create those opportunities for our members. So that then, in addition, we can train our colleagues on emerging areas of law. All we need is exposure. After it's there, and so many other emerging areas of law, cryptocurrency, and so on and so forth, so that our members have diverse areas that they can veer into.
What is the unique thing about you that is different from the other candidates? And why should your colleagues trust you with their votes?
I have been in the NBA NEC since 2008. So I'll call myself a repository of some sort of all the past resolutions of the NBA NEC. Now, like it happens in Nigerian society, committees are put in place, a lot of resources, time goes into them, and then once the administration is coming to an end, the outcome put in the shelf, and most of them are gathering doors. So we need to go back to some of those fantastic work and put them together, and it's time to implement them simultaneously for the benefit of our members. We cannot say every administration that had come in the past had nothing to offer. There must be the good part that you leverage on to continue to deliver deliverables to our members. So I'm going to emphasize on those things that we have not got right. Let's see how we can fix them. Those that have been fantastic recommendations, we now see how we implement them. So we don't keep experimenting every 2 years with new committees, and then you go out again and then a new committee is put in place. So we must go back and holistically dust them up and implement them for the benefit of our members. So that's what I'll be doing new, because I have had the privilege. None of them had been in NEC from 2008 like I have been, unbroken to date. So that stands me out. My colleagues also will see my disposition to the issues of bedeviling our country. You see, the other candidates have baggage of titles. I don't have any titles that will be a hindrance to delivering to our members, because titles can hinder you from speaking truth to power, whether we like it or not. Olumide Kwata has delivered because he has no such titles. I am here again to say, look, no matter whose ox is God, we must speak truth to power. So that's what I have got in addition to my background as the most experienced.
And that's the program this week. Please feel free to share your thoughts on any of the content we featured today. If you missed any part of it, you can find the video and past episodes on our YouTube channel. I am Shola Sheyeli. Thank you for watching and see you next week.